are in the DJI Fly app. This is the DJI Air 2S. We finally get the 1-inch sensor on a consumer level drone. 5.4K in video with 10-bit color, smart flight modes, and added new sensors for perfect flight. Without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Not only does it do 5.4K in video, which is already astonishing enough, it also does 4K at 60 FPS in recording. Previously, even with the flagship drones, we were limited to 4K at 30 FPS. So why this is a big deal is you can finally slow down your footage if you want to get that nice cinematic look while you're recording. It does come with a few caveats though, because the 4K at 60 FPS does crop in the image slightly, so you're not getting that maximum resolution with that image sensor size. So I personally own the DJI Mavic Pro, the original one that came out like 5 or 6 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. Then we got a hold of the DJI Mavic Mini and the Mavic Mini 2, and I was absolutely obsessed because of the size and the form factor of it. It was really tiny, really great, shot 4K as well. I was super happy with everything overall. That really made me want to sell off my drone and upgrade to the Mini so I could carry it around, fly it more, and basically enjoy it more. But the problem with that was, even though it was smaller and more comfortable, the camera wasn't an upgrade at all. It was almost exactly the same. It did do 4K, and most of these drones do 4K. Until now, we get that bigger sensor size. So the 4K performance and the dynamic range improvement we see with the Air 2S is quite significant compared to the previous drones, which is why it's pretty exciting. Another thing that's pretty interesting is bitrate. The previous drones did record 4K video, but the bitrate was so low that the 4K looked mushy and weird. Now the bitrate on the Air 2S has been upped to 150 megabits per second as opposed to the 100 on their flagship DJI Mavic Pro 2. Pretty awesome. Despite that, the lens itself is having a wider focal length, so you're going to be shooting at 22mm as opposed to 24mm or 28mm on the traditional drones. I personally prefer the wider look because I can get in as much information as I want, and then you can obviously, because you're shooting with such high resolutions like 5.4K or even 4K, you can easily digitally zoom in if you need to. But the wider frame is definitely much more appreciated. If you want to get nicer shots when you're going close to different objects, it just looks so much cooler. Now I'm gonna be honest, we got this drone to review for about 2 to 3 weeks, almost a month. But the problem was it rained every single day, and I'm not making that up. It literally rained every day, so it was really hard for us to get the shots that we wanted to get. Plus we were in lockdown, so I was kind of working from home as well, and my house is within a no-flying zone. So it was a very bad time, but we got some shots and we have that for you. 1080p at 60 FPS can zoom in digitally up to 6 times. 1080p at 30 FPS can zoom in digitally up to 8 times. 4K at 60 FPS can zoom in digitally up to 3 times, while 4K 30 FPS can go up to 4 times. 5.4K obviously is not going to be zooming in at all, and you get a wider frame. The flagship DJI drones shoot at 48 megapixels, which is using some pixel bending technology, but this one on its own is a 20 megapixel sensor. So honestly, a 1-inch CMOS sensor with 20 megapixel is far more superior in my opinion than anything else with 48 megapixels, 64, 108, whatever. We see the same thing with smartphones. Having a higher megapixel count does not mean you get better pictures. Having a bigger sensor means you get more light, more depth of field, and better dynamic range, which results in a better picture. That's exactly what we're seeing with the Air 2S. You get a bigger 1-inch sensor, 20 megapixels, which is enough detail to get everything you want to see, and the light you get is enough to get good low light shots and a great picture overall with awesome dynamic range. So you can shoot different things like the ultra wide panorama, which I tried, looked absolutely killer. You can take vertical panoramas, you can take just regular pictures, top down, whatever not. Absolutely looks brilliant, and the quality that you get out of it, the dynamic range, the colors with the 10-bit, absolutely brilliant. It offers roughly 12.4 really stops of dynamic range, so if you can over or underexpose to 12.4 stops, you can retain that much detail, or even if you're bringing up shadows when you're editing your pictures, it can bring in a lot of detail when you're shooting raw. Next, I want to talk about Master Touch. This is an amazing feature for people who aren't really interested with the drone piloting side of things, rather the camera aspect and capturing different shots. So if you're not a great drone pilot and you aren't able to get those cinematic shots on your own, a lot of people can't do that. Master Touch is the best solution for that. It's pre-recorded set of instructions to fire out to the drone, so it does all these different movements along with zoom ins, dolly shots, the pan ups, the dronies, the rockets. All of that are done by the drone itself. You set the timer up, set the target, and it does everything for you, captures the main shots that you need of your subject cinematically, and you have to do nothing. In terms of upgraded hardware, we're finally getting an additional set of extra sensors right in the front top of the drone. These sensors should help with obstacle detection, especially when it's head on at higher speeds. They're calling this the APAS 4.0. This is great to see because it can brake the drone, or wait, when I say brake, I don't mean like crash it, I mean like brake the speed of the drone or bypass the object that's blocking it. This really helps with situations where it's active tracking you and you don't want it to hit something when it's tracking you, or when you're in faster flight modes, usually the drone would just abruptly stop. So this really helps with that detection to either pass around it like we did with that tree, or it just brakes entirely. When I say brake, again, I mean stops. So the standard drone itself is about $999 or 4,500-ish ringgit here in Malaysia, while the Fly More combo, which is what I recommend, is for $1,299 or 5,799 ringgit here in Malaysia. Definitely recommend that over the standard set. Let's move on to who this drone is really for. If you're just getting into drone flying, but you really want good image quality without having to worry about fiddling with the drone and being able to get the nice capturing movements and stuff, the Air 2S is a no-brainer. Even for someone like me who owns a drone for 5 years, I've learned everything you need to know about drones, the way to fly it, the movements. The camera aspect alone just mind blows me, and I feel like that's something I need in my life. The 1-inch sensor on this for the price point is a no-brainer. Definitely recommend it. You're getting a flagship level camera on a more consumer level drone. However, if you're someone who's already using the DJI Air 2, the upgrade might not be worth it for you if you're happy with your current camera performance. The only aspect that you would need to see an upgrade in would be the camera, then going for the Air 2S makes sense. If you're using the DJI Mavic Pro 2, then again, not a great huge upgrade here unless you rely on that 5.4K and you want that smaller size. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be appreciated, and we'll see you again in the next video. Until then, bye-bye. All right, we've arrived at our shooting location, and as you can see, the shooting location had different ideas. So it is raining all over the place. This is Alex's first time ever flying a drone. Alex, how do you feel right now?
Very nervous.
Just getting the basics of the drone, and right off the bat, it's pretty easy to understand, isn't it?
Yep.
How do you feel controlling it?
Getting better. Still learning.
Don't crash it.